Biggest misconception about AI in sales?
That AI is going to replace the rep. If it's a great rep, you're not going anywhere.
Welcome to Not Another AI podcast, where we're not just talking about AI, we're hearing from the women and non-binary individuals using it to build, lead, and reimagine what's possible.
We're three women from different corners of tech, and we've created this show as a project of Women Defining AI, a global community helping women and non-binary individuals learn, build, and lead with AI.
In this podcast, we talk to folks from different corners of the AI ecosystem who share real stories, practical tools, and bold ideas making AI more accessible, equitable, and human-centered.
Join our community at womendefiningai.com. This is Not Another AI podcast. Let's get into it.
Today, I'm sitting down with Kemi Olunloyo, the co-founder and CEO of ProBound AI, an AI voice agent startup helping sales teams improve their outreach. Kemi brings over a decade of experience leading high-performing sales teams in the B2C automotive space, where she scaled revenue through data-driven strategies and a relentless focus on the customer experience. Now she's applying those same principles to the B2B world, building an AI-powered product to solve a pain point for modern go-to-market sales. Welcome, Kemi. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheila. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, let's just get right into it. Tell us, how did your experience in automotive sales and digital transformation lead you to found your company?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with, I was lucky enough to get a job at the top performing Honda store in Queens, New York. And when I say top performing, it was number one, number two every single year out of every Honda and Acura dealership nationwide. And what that taught me was how to look for trends, how to lead teams, how to deal with multiple personalities. And then I transitioned into management. And I took what I learned from there and led teams. And notably, I was able to take a auto dealership of a team of 2 business development reps and about 8 salespeople. I was able to take them from 6 figures in revenue to over $40 million in revenue.
Amazing.
And I did that under 90 days. So, I have a gift. I'm able to locate a problem and I'm able to come up with a fix. And then I am the GSD person, the get shit done person. Mm-hmm. So I can put a plan together and then execute the plan. And that's what led me into building ProBound.
I mean, automotive sales is not a place where you naturally think of people becoming technology entrepreneurs, right? So talk about that journey from scaling teams and learning a lot about digital transformation in that space, the go-to-market space, but B2C, and then pivoting to B2B software development.
Over the pandemic, I obtained 2 jobs in the B2B SaaS space. And in that space, I was able to learn about technology, about selling to businesses as well as selling to consumers, and also apply what I've learned from the auto industry. At that time, I kept getting job offers from people all around me that I happened to provide advice to. And they were like, Kemi, we need you to join the team. We need you to join the team. But unfortunately, their compensation that they were offering me just wasn't equivalent to my level of expertise. And so with that, then I said, how can I scale myself as an individual? And that's where AI came in. ProBound started with the mission to build voice AI agents that handle repetitive tasks with speed and consistency and escalate the rest of the tasks to the humans.
Amazing. I want you to talk a little bit more about that. Specifically, what problem were you trying to solve when you were thinking about what ProBound could be?
Yeah, so I have a background of business development. And so I was trying to replace the cold call that business development reps do on a day-to-day basis. So for anyone that has any cold calling experience, you know that there's a less than a 1% chance for a pickup, meaning that very good rep should make 125 calls a day. But the reality is when you have calls coming in and you have emails to follow up and you have appointments to follow up on, you're never going to hit that 125 call benchmark unless you have an auto dialer. And the auto dialer, unfortunately, is illegal. So I was trying to fix that part of things, where I was like, okay, the AI agents can take care of these calls, speak to humans, have a conversation on behalf of the human team, and the human team can then follow up on what needs to be followed up on. And what started out as cold calling turned into support. We have customers in higher ed and real estate, and now we're focused on the MSP.
So interesting. I want to dig in again to how you made the transition from, a non-technical role, or what seems to me to be a non-technical role, to a very technical role. Like, do you consider yourself a technical person?
No. I mean, now I am, but originally I do not consider myself a technical person. I really did not use ChatGPT when it first came out. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about AI in 2020. I was still doing a lot of manual things. I still had manual processes when I was working with my teams. I was still using Google Docs. Yeah, so I can say that I don't have a technical background, but I am someone I learn quick and I adapt fairly quickly.
So, Kemi, I want to ask you maybe to get in the weeds a little bit, if you can, and tell us about the AI agent itself. Right now, the AI agent is called Kelly, and how she works.
Yeah. So I'll try to put it in the simpler term. Our AI agent, Kelly, when Kelly receives a phone call, it goes through a telephony provider. And then the telephony provider transcribes it to a text. And then that goes through the LLM. And then it creates a text response to the LLM, and then it goes right back out through the telephony. And so that's the best way for me to describe how it works.
Okay, so then you launched ProBound AI right at a time when AI tools are reshaping how people start and scale companies. How has AI accelerated your ability to build the company?
So, story of ProBound. I'll give a quick little story here. My now CTO happened to send me a pitch competition here locally by Build in Tulsa, and it's called Female Founders Pitch Night. So basically, you submit application, you submit your idea, and they'll invite you to pitch. And he sent me that around Christmas, and I didn't do anything with it. Then the deadline was on New Year's Day, and I got it again on New Year's Day, and he called me, he said, hey, did you see what I sent you? Did you apply? And so I opened the application, I'm like, I had to fill out a whole application. I don't even have a business plan. I don't have a name. I don't have anything. And right then and there, I was able to use Gamma for a pitch deck. I was able to use an AI agent similar to ChatGPT, Pi. I was able to use that to help name ProBound, create, and then even building the landing page, I was able to use an AI for that as well. So that is how AI has helped me in getting started. And then with the help of ChatGPT, I came up with a pricing framework that worked for us.
Amazing.
But, yeah, so even just filling out the application, that was all AI. And we did that in 3 hours and submitted it before midnight. And then next thing you know, I won $10,000.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you went from not using AI at all to using it entirely to launch your business. And then what about tools that have helped you reduce friction or costs or increase efficiency as you develop the product? Like, did you hire contractors who are building it? How involved in the process are you?
So here's the thing that a lot of people, like a lot of startup owners, don't consider. So I didn't build anything for, I would say, the first 5 months. First and foremost, you need to speak to customers. And that's what I did. So I spent about 3 to 4 months speaking to customers. So I didn't build anything for that time. I was just interviewing customers. I actually used ChatGPT and Gemini that had come out and just coming up with questions to interview customers and, get their feedback on AI agents. And then my now CTO, he offered to help me build out and train our first demo agent, which we were able to then pilot with our first customer in October.
And so what you've built so far, though, is the viable product that's out there and being used right now.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. I'm curious, before we move on from this topic, if you have any other advice for founders in terms of leveraging AI early on.
Yeah, I would say use what exists. So if you can use something like a white label, I would say use that. don't build anything until you know that you have paying customers, because once you give the developer money, that's it. There's no refunds in this.
Okay. All right. I like it. So ProBound's AI voice agents are all about helping teams become more efficient, more effective. What does go-to-market efficiency mean to you, and how should companies be thinking about AI as part of their strategy?
So go-to-market means spending less time on repetitive tasks and more time closing and retaining and learning. So companies should be using AI for clarity, number one. And so for us, if there's a problem, before it gets to a human person, the AI agent should be able to walk the customer through all the steps necessary. I'll use a simple experience. Your cell phone. When you're getting a new cell phone provider and there's an issue with your cell phone and you have to call into your cell phone provider, you then have to triage your phone with them on the phone. So imagine that was an AI agent before it actually got to a human. Now, if it's something that's going on with your phone that just can't be triaged, then at that point it can get to the human. So I would say that's what companies need to be doing. They need to utilize AI to handle all the repetitive things and all the boring things so that the humans can really take advantage of focusing on creating a better customer experience to focus more on the customers.
Okay. And so on the flip side of that, where do you think right now companies are making mistakes, which would be opportunities for you, for ProBound?
I have two answers to that. I think companies try to implement AI without actually having a proper process in place. Meaning, whatever that company is doing, it's already broken. And bringing AI into that is not going to fix anything. It's probably going to make it worse. So I would say that's something that I notice companies are doing. But also, I would say companies are a little too slow to adopt, in my opinion. And unfortunately, those are the companies that may not last, because when your competition is adopting AI and they're changing with times, that gives them more opportunity to scale. The top first.
Yes. Two very interesting, mistakes that provide opportunities. I'm curious how you are thinking about, AI guardrails, right? This is an area that I'm particularly interested in, AI governance. And so I'm always asking entrepreneurs and business owners how they're thinking about it specifically to their use cases or their customers' use cases.
Yeah. So for us, cybersecurity is a huge deal when it comes to, especially in the industry we're focused in and the customers that we've worked with. Higher ed, real estate, that's very sensitive data that we're working with, as well as the MSPs. They're also handling passwords, account information. I mean, really sensitive data. So for us, certain things that we are putting into place is kind of like a geofencing, where it's able to locate where the caller's coming from, verify that it's where it's supposed to be calling from. We're also looking at forms of identification, such as a text message going through with facial recognition, depending on the level of security necessary to do certain tasks.
Interesting because, in this area, on the one hand, AI is helping you accelerate your business. I hear you using AI to actually support AI governance, and yet AI is also introducing a lot of, challenges in that area. So moving to a new topic, you've shared with us that you've developed high-performing sales teams in the past. How do you predict that these teams and the sales profession will change with AI tooling now that companies are able to do more with less people?
I think it creates a new wave of talent. I've worked with people that were older than me and both younger than me in teams. In trying to retrain team members, I've noticed that sometimes people don't want to let go of old habits. And so I think this is an opportunity to force people to let go of old habits and retrain their mind, re-exercise their mind, because the world around us is changing. And so I believe that, one, AI is going to lead to more entrepreneurs, and businesses are always going to sell to other businesses. That's going to be the case. But also, people would know how to use AI to make their jobs easier instead of having to have AI do the job for them.
AI as a tool to support your own professional efficiency,
Correct.
your ability to reach success in your goals, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely get that. But something you touched on, earlier in your answer makes me want to ask you, as a leader in go-to-market sales, Let's say, for example, you have a salesperson who's been selling for decades. Like they really lean into that part of sales that's always been about connection and human connection. How do you talk someone through the need to make these change or help them really understand the importance? Like,
Your paycheck's going to change.
okay.
That's the reality. I mean, that's what I've always told people. People that are in sales, 9 times out of 10, they're driven by money. And then if it's not money, impact. And you can do both with AI. You can have both. You can have impact and you can make more money, especially in sales. I get tons of cold emails a day, and I always can tell who spends time utilizing their AI correctly and who doesn't.
Right.
And because you'll get the emails and it'll have like the wrong company information, like it's really bad. But then you have individuals who have put together a great email cadence, cold email cadence, and it's so customized and well put together, but I know it's AI.
I think as a follow-on, you're offering a product and service that's going to help sales, be more smooth, right? Sales leaders reach their goals more efficiently. But yet you also have to be thinking about the tool as a sales tool being something that is easily adopted by sales teams,
Yeah.
right? So how do you think about that pain point, that adoption pain point for the end user?
So for the end user, we have something called HPG, and it's our higher pay, go about your day model. So pretty much there is no prompting, there is no training required. This is not like a ChatGPT. All you're doing is uploading your documents, selecting your agent, hiring the agent, and then just go about your day. We want to make it like click, 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 and then done. That's as simple as we're making it for the end user.
Okay. Well, you've talked a lot about your commitment to building customer-centric teams and having that type of growth and high trust teams. What are your non-negotiables when you're building in a tech-driven world?
That's a very good question. I would say no shortcuts. And I say that as someone building an AI company. The time that I spent with the customers, I was also reviewing my competitors. And I could tell where they chose to have a shortcut. But what that leads to is thousands of Reddit complaints. Like, if you go on Reddit right now, you'll see the same companies having the same complaints over and over and over again. And I know why they're having those same complaints. So, I'll leave it there. But I would say no shortcuts. I think putting in the work now could yield really great results later on. And that's always been my thing from before I entered into tech to now, right? Building ProBound. Non-negotiables, I would also say security. If you talk to my CTO, that's the number one thing that has always come up is, okay, how can we keep things secure? Because every day somebody's getting hacked and I don't want that to be us. And, I have friends, thankfully, in the cybersecurity space. So, they're helping to keep me accountable and maybe give us better ideas on how to execute and how to protect customer data. But security is a non-negotiable. That is something that's like top of line for us here at ProBound. And then representation of the business. So any business that's onboarded onto our platform or any customer of ours, we need to properly represent their business. Whether we're multilingual, we're presented a multilingual agent, or we're selling to a specific demographic. Some demographics prefer a male speaker versus a female speaker, or vice versa. Some demographics prefer someone that might sound like they're from a more urban environment versus someone that might sound like they're from, a more southern environment. So just making sure that the business is well represented has also been a big deal for us as well.
I love hearing that because it goes to something that I also am really interested in, which is this idea of inclusive AI development, whether it's multilingual, multiracial, multinational, but bringing stakeholders to the table really early on in the development process to understand how to make the best end product or service that meets their needs and really sits with them in terms of their culture, their comfort, what they're interested in. And I think we have an issue with that today because so many of these models that we rely on as the foundational models are built here in the United States, and they're very centered on our culture here. And with all of its biases and the pros and cons. So I love hearing that you have your eye on that from the beginning, because you're going to provide your customers with the best product in that way.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would tell leaders they need to keep top of mind as they scale?
I think something that I would like to mention for us, we never had to go after customers. People trust us, people trust how we show up, and they trust when we talk about analytics and ROI. So I would say trust in this business is probably what's going to set you apart more than anything else. Everyone has, an AI company at this point, right? There are thousands of AI companies. There's chatbots, voice, everything. But what's going to set you apart is trust. Like, that's probably going to be what creates a long-term company versus a company that is alive today and dead in 6 months. And just being consistent in the follow-through. I think what I've witnessed in just sitting down with founders is that, they'll get excited about something they're doing in that moment, but then we have a conversation 3 weeks later and it's like they have gotten distracted and they're no longer focused on that aspect of the business. So just find a way to be consistent. And for me, I've been lucky and blessed enough to have, people around me that are very supportive of what I'm doing. And so they're also assisting with that consistency, and keeping me, on my toes. So I would say be consistent with the follow through and be fast. This is an industry that you have to move fast in. AI is changing on a regular basis, literally by the second. So be prepared to make changes by the second.
I like it. But I imagine that every founder also, hits roadblocks. I know that to be the case in all my work with startups over the years. So what's something that has surprised you or challenged you as you've launched ProBound AI?
Say the biggest roadblock I had was not having a product and having to sell nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Salesforce, right? Salesforce has somewhere for you to log on to, onboard, and do all the things, and you can see the product. With ProBound, when we first sold to our first customers, there was no product to see. So that's where the trust comes in, right? It's kind of like building that relationship with the customer. So I think for me, that was probably the hardest thing. Probably the biggest challenge I've had is selling nothing. I come from a space where everything I sold I could see, whether it was SaaS, it was a vehicle, but everything I sold I can see, like I can present.
Sure. And that might be why you have on your website an actual demo. I mean, you can click on a button and talk to Kelly, the AI agent at ProBound, which I think is so cool, because at a lot of companies you have to sign up for a demo, meet with a salesperson, and the ease of trying out the agent is, I think, genius.
Yes, for sure. And it allows us to learn what customers are thinking.
Well, before we move, to our lightning round of questions, I do want to ask you, if you had an opportunity to tell yourself a year ago anything, what would you tell yourself?
Don't sleep on AI. Don't sleep on technology. Obviously, I believe that if I exposed myself early on, well, I don't know if ProBound would be here, but I think that I probably would have already started a company and maybe trying to exit at this stage. So I would say I shouldn't sleep on technology.
Okay. Well, I have a couple quick questions that I want to run through with you. Your favorite underrated go-to-market AI tool right now?
Today, Lovable. So that helps you build UI.
Okay. Biggest misconception about AI in sales?
That AI is going to replace the rep. If it's a great rep, you're not going anywhere.
I love to hear that. And I have a lot of sales friends who will love to hear that too. Your dream partnership for ProBound?
ConnectWise and Kaseya, the big folks in the MSP space. Hopefully an acquisition.
And a quote or a mindset that keeps you going?
Get shit done.
All right. You said it once, you've said it twice.
Yeah.
Kemi, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It's a perfect example of what happens when domain expertise meets new technology. And I'm inspired by your willingness to be brave, embrace your own creative ideas, and to step into spaces where you believe you belong and that you can build innovative products and lead others. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you so much. This was fun.
To our listeners, visit ProBound AI to learn more and connect with Kemi on LinkedIn to follow her work and insights. We'll see you next time on Not Another AI Podcast, where we're building the future of AI together.